Hi, my name is Elisha Campbell, and I was fortunate enough to get 2 grants this year, so this is my second one. Go check out my first one, Emerging Classroom. So this one is Reading Soars with Rocketbooks. So what the research says about Rocketbooks, and let me move my video up so I can see all of my PowerPoint, is that incorporating Rocketbooks and moving towards a paperless classroom. So especially right now, I don't have to tell you all anything about COVID-19 and virtual learning or hybrid models and cutting back on paper and contact with each other and the touching of different surfaces. So all of us are trying to use less paper and kind of, I guess, utilize our materials in a way that is most efficient and effective for the pandemic and the situation that we're in right now. So what the research says about a paperless classroom is that obviously it's more student focused, increased student happiness and productivity. Research even shows people remember things better if they write them down, so students helps them pay attention. I know for me, especially if I'm in a meeting, if I'm not jotting down notes, my mind kind of tends to wander, so it gives me a focus place to go to. And the benefits for teachers is honestly, virtual has been really hard for me this year because we're making all of these digital items, but honestly next year, how easy will it be to have everything we need for every lesson stored in the classroom or whatever platform that you're using in your district. So we have less time copying, less time filing, and if you're like me, one of the reasons I got the Rocketbook is because I am very disorganized and I often lose papers or misplace papers of students, and the moms will call me and say, hey, well, did you get this, or where's this? And a student will say, well, I laid that on your desk, and I'm like, it's here somewhere, just give me a minute and I'll find it. So I'm hoping Rocketbooks will be to solve my problem that I have with my disorganization for myself. So if you don't know what a Rocketbook is, actually I have a Rocketbook that I use for myself. And I got a few last year, actually with the grant, through the ARI grant, but I didn't have enough for each student to have their own. So I just brought one from school. I wanted a class set because I have 2 third-grade classrooms for ELA, and so I have 40 students. So therefore, I wanted 40 Rocketbooks so that we weren't sharing and that everybody could just have their own. And luckily enough, we got them. But this is the actual Rocketbook. Now, I don't have mine here that I personally use. I took one out of the box, and I've been using it for like meetings and to take my notes down and to write like. I know a lot of people type lesson plans, but sometimes like I just jot things down like at the end of the school day of like, what didn't I cover? What do I need to get covered tomorrow? And sometimes I just need to have that. I really like writing things down. I'm one of those people that likes to write things down. So therefore, I got me one of these out of the box, and it has been the best little thing. And I would show you how much I've written in mine. But if you don't know what a Rocketbook is, it is a reusable notebook, y'all. Like reusable. If you're like me, in my classroom a couple years ago, I literally had, because I'm ELA, so I teach, the reading, the writing, the grammar, language, all of it, and social studies. So I had like these milk crates. So you would come in my classroom and there's this designated wall, and it's milk crates stacked up on top of milk crates. And it was like, okay, guys, put your writing notebooks in that milk crate and put your short answer open-ended response journal in this one and put your note-taking journal in this one. And it was literally a wall of journals. And so I thought there has to be a better way because I'm killing the milk crates. And every time I would like go and steal milk crates from the lunchroom because I was like, I need more milk crates for my notebooks for my kids. And so I actually saw this at the summit a couple years ago. Actually, a girl in our district had presented these. And so I had chatted with her about them. And basically what it says on the back is a 7-subject notebook powered by technology. So it's going to allow me to do away with all my milk crates. I mean, I'm having a hard time getting rid of them, but I think it'll be a lot better space and I can do some better things with my shelving. I only have 1 milk crate for Rocketbooks. So let me go ahead and move on here. The world's smartest notebook. So basically what's going to happen is, let me tell you what it includes. These are very inexpensive. I think it's like $30 maybe for the notebook. And this is the executive size. What comes with it is obviously you have the notebook. It comes in this little resealable pack here. So it comes with the notebook. It comes with this is the cloth. So I know a lot of you all may be skeptical about the notebooks because a lot of them were advertised before that you had to put them in the microwave, like to clean them and stuff. This is not the case with this. These, and I'm not going to take it out of this one, but there's a special pen in here too. It comes with it right here. So there's a pen. But all you have to do is like spray a little bit of water on them or get this stamp and it comes right off. So now you may ask, where does it go and how does it store all their work? Where does the kids' work go? Okay. The beauty of it is when you open it up, it has a little pamphlet to tell you all about it. Okay. So you can write, scan, it's tips for handwriting, reuse. It's taken, and guys, I have had students writing these too and send me some stuff. Last year, I didn't get to implement them in my classroom. I had a couple of teachers' kids after we went virtual in March who took them home and kind of did a little sample for me just so I could see how they worked for the April summit. Sometimes my handwriting's sloppy and they magically just, it takes your notes down, it can read it. It's kind of like a scanner. But anyway, I'm kind of getting off topic. What's the beauty of this is, when I first got these, they're compatible with, Google Drive, and you can make folders and you can send their stuff there. But doing research this summer, knowing that I had these, the most awesome thing about the app with the Rocketbooks is it is now compatible with Google Classroom. So kids could, especially like for writing stories, and I've said this before, and I'm gonna go ahead and, that way, okay, let me back up because I don't wanna get there just yet. And I've said this before in my other grant, but in primary, that paper to pen or paper to pencil is key in the primary. Like, we have to have these kids writing, because if I am constantly digital, their handwriting is going to be terrible. They're not going to be able to write a short answer on their own. And yes, typing skills are important too, but I don't want their handwriting to be so unlegible that when they do write something down, they don't even know what it says. So I want the best of both worlds, and I think I have found that with the Rocketbook. And I'm even more excited now that it links with Google Classroom. So there is an app called Rocketbook, and basically you set up folders. So within this, there are 7, like it said, 7 subjects on the bottom of the page. So what I had done before, just to test it out, is I made folders for like each of the things I had all those million notebooks for. Like I had QFTs, spelling tests, short answers, note taking, I can statements, wherever I wanted, whatever I would have had a tab or whatever I would have had a binder for, or whatever I had a notebook for, I would make it here. Now, my biggest worry was, how was I going to get this for each kid, to have a folder? Was they going to have to try to use my Google Drive? Were they going to have to try to, how was I going to do that? And so, honestly, us going virtual in a way has helped me close gaps that I wanted to do in my classroom with technology, but I wasn't sure how the kids would respond with, an email and a Google password and having Google Drive and using Google Slides and Docs in the 3rd grade. That really made me nervous, and I incorporated a lot of technology, but I was worried how they would manipulate those tools, and they have done amazing with them, and they've just taken off. And so the beauty of it is each kid will have their own Google Drive, so therefore they can have their own Rocket app with their Google Drive email. They can shoot this, they can scan it to an assignment classroom, or they can share it with me via Google, and I can make a folder for all the QFTs. Or I'm just really excited that they basically have a digital notebook that I could, hey, here is, and I'm a very sentimental mom. Like, if you've not done this, I started an email for my kids a long time ago when they were born. I never was good with the baby book because of the modern age, and I thought, how can I share memories with my kids throughout their life? And so I created emails for them to send them little things. Like, my little boy started kindergarten, so I sent him his picture and said, hey, Mommy's so proud of you, you started kindergarten today. And so when they graduate high school, they'll have this little email to open with all these things that they've done throughout their 18 years of life. I know that's crazy, but for sentimental moms like me too, and I always think like a mom when I'm a teacher too, because I know how us mamas are. And it's hard to keep all the stuff they do. We're proud of them and we want to keep it, but where in the world are we going to put all these writings and drawings and things that they do? Well, now I could, at the end of the year, if Susie Q's mommy wanted her third grade writing notebook. I could share it with her on Google Classroom or share it with her in her Google Drive, and she could have that, keep that for as long as she wanted. So I just thought that was a personal tidbit for myself that I was pretty excited about. So let me just continue on. So that all led me, I know that was kind of off topic and tangent. I do that quite often, but that all led me last year to how can I make my classroom more efficient, organized, and engaging for not only my students, but myself. And it all came back to those 5,000 notebooks. We were wasting so much time trying to go and get a notebook, and they didn't have any. And I was doing, and I know you're thinking, why the world didn't you just let them put them in their desk? Well, I had flex seating before COVID, and so we had couches and bean bags, and we really didn't have the little desks with the slides, and so our stuff was just kind of everywhere, and we were just chilling like we were in our, living room. So that was why I was like, I gotta do something better, I gotta do something more for my kiddos. So that's where Rocketbooks came in. The objectives are to increase critical thinking and engagement and retention. Of course, if we write it down, they're going to remember it better. They'll be more engaged. And honestly, I really do like the paper to the pencil is the biggest thing for me in the primary. I want them to be able to write those things down and not just depend upon, typing all the time. I just think it's a good skill for them to have, and then cursive, and I want them to have that. Students and parents will be able to access notes, assignments from anywhere using Google Docs. So again, they write their notes down. Somebody wasn't there that day. We can upload. I can write the same thing under my document camera in my notebook. I can shoot it to a student who was absent. They didn't miss the notes for the day or whatever we had written down. Because a lot of times I'm a very spontaneous teacher, and 95% of the time my plans go out the window when I get in my classroom and something pops in my head, and that's what we do. And so I'm not very good at that's the problem with the virtual with me, is I can't pre-make and preload all these things because each day is based off my kiddos. How did we do? What did we do? What's next for tomorrow? And so with these, I can have my own, I can write things down, and if someone was absent and needed something, I can send that out to Google Classroom or send it as materials in Google Classroom or whatever I need to do. Increase digital awareness for students. I'm really excited that they are aware of Google Docs and Classroom and all the G Suite has to offer, because now I'm not so worried about getting their own Rocketbook app. My next thing to look at is to see if Google has an extension that they can put on their devices that our district has purchased for our kiddos. Because if that's the case, and I've not checked it out, then we are, they can just hold that up because, let me tell you, I forgot to tell you. The little subjects at the bottom, this is how it sends to where you want it to go. I didn't even have to back up. See, I get off on a tangent. So the little X's at the bottom, so say we were doing notes. So I might have designated, I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but there's a little diamond right here at the bottom. It's very transparent almost. So you'd have to put an X on that little diamond, and it would say Susie's is going to the notes section of her Google Drive in her folder. So I made all these folders in Google Drive on my personal one that I use. And so they would use the Rocketbook and this little QR code. When they scan it, it registers that it's going to that folder, and it automatically just uploads it for you. And the real beauty of it is if you write a hashtag at the top, like hashtag class notes 10-12, it'll title it for you. You don't have to title like hashtag spelling test 4511 hashtag. Boom, done. So that the kids aren't having to write a header, and that way when you open up your Google Drive and you open up your folder, it isn't just a bunch of documents with random numbers and words on there. Gain awareness of student growth. That's the biggest thing is, a lot of parents sometimes don't realize how much their student grows, or they may be disappointed because they weren't proficient or distinguished or whatever label on a test that we have for them that year. And with these, they can document growth. That's my biggest thing in my classroom. Sure, I want them to be on third grade reading level. Sure, I want them to be proficient. Sure, I want them to be distinguished. Absolutely. But if they're growing, if they were better than when they came to me, then I feel like we've had a successful year. And so I want parents to understand that if they were only writing one sentence and reading on a first grade level at the beginning of the year, and now they're writing, a whole paragraph with minimal errors, then hey, they grew. So cut little Johnny some slack because he's working. I'm working. And to take ownership, like, I think this notebook would get some kids like, hey, I got a fancy notebook and I got a Google Drive and a Google folder now. And like, so I want them to just empower them and have self-confidence to use these tools in the real world, especially, you know, middle school and high school. They're getting ready to leave the primary babyland. As I always say, they're getting ready to get on the meat and taters and leave the baby food of the primary. And so I don't want my youngins choking on them meat and taters. I want them ready to go. So that is what we're trying to do at Car Creek. I teach at Car Creek 3rd grade, by the way, if I didn't say that. So my action plan is to get us a class set, which I already have them and I have enough for now, but I'm hoping when we actually get to go back to real full blown, everything's awesome, and I have my 40 kids back, that everybody has their own notebook. To become facilitators and most importantly give students of their own learning. So I've talked about our toolkit. I've kind of already touched on that. To allowing them to be 21st century learners, that's the main goal. Everything is digital today, and I feel like COVID has been terrible, but at the same time, I do feel like it has pushed us to do those 21st century skills that oftentimes a lot of teachers are too scared or too nervous to implement into their classroom, and we've been forced to do that. And so through a bad situation, we have also empowered our students to have those 21st century skills, whether we know it or not. So I always try to find the silver lining in even the bad, the worst situation possible, which is this. Measuring success, like I said, it's all about if they got the score, they got the score. But when we look back from the beginning of the year to the data that they posted in their Google Drive, how did their writing change? How did it develop? How did their spelling change? What growth did that child have individually as an individual? Okay, so measuring success during COVID-19. All students, measuring success during COVID-19 pandemic. So all students could have completed assignments with the notebooks. The goal is for them to scan them to me and store them in a Google Drive folder. And also it's easy organization for, if we go back all the time, even if we're on NTI days, it's a seamless hybrid model. Don't have to really worry about going back and forth. And I'm hoping that they can take these home, and that way they can practice their handwriting even at home and not have to rely solely on the computer all the time. I just went ahead and included some things in here from some of the kiddos that had used some of these last year. And I know this is for this year, but I'm really excited to see how the quotes change from the kids, because that they're having to implement them more and use them. And so my couple of kiddos from their parents who were teachers who got to take the few that I had home last year would say, I don't lose my work anymore. I stay organized. Miss Lewis, I was a Lewis. I just got married in the summer. So COVID-19 2020 had one good outcome. So I got to get married. This is what I would say. Some of my little students, they were with me, in NTI, and they were there while we were home. And they would say, well, you don't have a million notebooks now. Or I don't have to worry about paper. That's a lot of times we take for granted that kids have paper and pencil, but sometimes you've got that one child who comes in and they are extremely worried about not having school supplies because they don't have any. And so this is something, even if I can ease their mind about one thing, it's that they don't have to worry about that in my classroom, because this is something they can use all year. They don't have to go out and worry about getting a new notebook or getting a new pencil, because we've got it. We've got the Rocket Book. So for any questions or comments, you can email me. It's still alicia.lewis@knott.kyschools.us. I'm really excited to get to implement these as a hybrid model instead of just virtually, and with all of my students. Like I said, I just implemented these with a couple of kiddos whose parents worked with me. I was like, hey, let's try this out and see what they think about them. If this is an amazing investment, y'all, even if not for your classroom, just for yourself personally as an educator, that it's been awesome to help keep me organized, and that I can write things down and not lose my notes anymore. Even if you got a grocery list, y'all, this is the bomb. And I do believe they make a calendar. Oh, and let me add, you may be asking, because this, I don't know if you can see, it is lined, but my co-teacher for the math, she actually on, what's that called? Where they get donors' shoes. Yeah, okay, slipped my mind. So on donors' shoes, she got gridded, y'all. So hers are the grid paper. So for math. So she and I are both, we haven't really tried it yet. We just went back in person on Monday. So that was 2 days ago whenever you're watching this video. So we just went back in person. This is the first time we went in person this year. And so we're just trying to get our bearings under us with, you know, the hybrid model and virtual, but she and I both are really excited to do this in math. Math teachers, I can't imagine how this would not help you right now in this situation. You know, because the biggest complaint I've heard from people at my school, because I'm also the digital learning coach at our school, is that the math teachers are like, I want to see my kids work out the math problem and I can't get the work to me. With the Rocket Book, y'all, you can, because it will send right to Google Classroom for you now. So this, to me, I don't know for certain, because we, like I said, we've not implemented it with Google Classroom and we've not implemented it with math. But I can't imagine that it wouldn't work out right. And it's going to have kinks trying to get the kids to scan and making sure we got that extension or something that they can do with their laptop. Otherwise, I'm going to have to try to get iPads or something. But I've got a few in my classroom, so we're going to just hold off and think about that. But that'll be something I can share with you guys at in the April Summit and see how it works. So if you have any questions or comments about it, just email me. Feel free to contact me. And I hope you guys enjoyed learning about the Rocket Book. Thanks, guys.